Hello and welcome to Microspot Interiors video tutorial on using the renderer options. Our renderer offers advanced shadow definition as well as a range of resolution qualities for you to choose from. With our renderer, not only can you render snapshots of your interior designs, but you can also fully render your animations. I'm going to show you how to use the renderer options and which settings are best for the final render. So I've selected renderer options from the inspector palette. Now Microspot Interiors delivers a selection of renderers for you to choose from. The quality and manipulation of the scene depends on the renderer you use. So with interactive selected, you can create your scenes by adding objects, lighting and textures. It is in this renderer that the majority of the design work is done. So for example here, if I select this chair, you can see that the handles and the bounding frame are visible. With this you can move and resize objects. Also, I have added two light sources, one being a spotlight pointing in this direction and another being the sunlight pointing in this direction. So with preview render selected, this allows you to view lighting effects and shadows of a low quality render. It is a fast way to see how the lighting, textures and any other alterations made will behave when rendered. It is also important to remember when rendering a scene that lighting has as much an effect on the final render as the renderer options themselves. So selecting light options from the inspector palette and turning global spot and point brightness off, you can see that the shadow disappears for the spotlight, and then for sun brightness you can see that shadow disappears. Also, you can change the brightness of the lights, this way creating moods in the scene. A good tip to remember is turning sun brightness off and ambient brightness off. You can render nighttime effects. Now here I've finished a dining room scene with the lighting and textures already set up. So with Microspot Renderer, there are options allowing you to set the quality of the render. Now you can access these settings in two ways. One is hold the option key down and select Microspot Renderer, and the other is to select Microspot Renderer and click Renderer Settings button. Now as you can see, the quality of the render is quite low at the moment. So if I select Best as a resolution of the image, you can see then that the image begins to define itself more. The edges are more crisp and a lot smoother. If I turn cast shadows on and set the shadow resolution to low, you can then see that the render begins to change dramatically and the lighting in the room begins to affect the scene more. And then if I set the resolution of the shadows up to high and turn enable soft edges on, you can see that then the shadows define themselves a lot better and the edges are no longer rough and are a lot smoother. Now you may find during your render or even after your render that an object in the room needs to be moved, so you need to get back to interactive quickly. So if you click the interactive icon in the toolbar, this quickly brings you back into the interactive renderer. Here you can then move whichever object is a problem, and then select the Microspot Renderer from the renderer options. With this interior design, I have worked on the lighting and textures to create realistic shadow effects, and as you can see from the final render, through manipulation of lights and settings of the renderer, you can create realistic interior designs.